So Ricci, she should be able to pressure Oliveira to the fence and force the clinch. And once she's there, she can either just like, press Oliveira against the cage, which, wins fights no matter whether you like it or not. Or she can go for that inside leg trip. Or she could just drop levels, scoop up the long legs of Oliveira. Oliveira has very long legs and she doesn't widen her base at all on the fence. So she's basically asking to be double-legged if Ricci, does go for it. Tabatha, her wrestling isn't pretty, but if she does get Oliveira down, she likely does find a finish. She's just that much of a better grappler. I mean, like Marina Rodrigues, who has like not the best grappling. I get that they're very different, like they're up levels apart, Marina Rodrigues and Maria Oliveira. But Marina Rodrigues was just bullying Oliveira in top position on the Contender Series. And in general, that was a really pathetic performance by Oliveira on the Contender Series. Like, she literally just said, no mas, basically. She turned around, I think, signified to the corner or the referee, just tried to wave off the fight herself. I can't believe they signed her. Like, that was you'd never see that. Like, you never see that at this level. And I don't know if Dana forgot that even happened, but generally he takes umbrage to those type of things, and then he doesn't really, he kind of writes them off, and she hasn't really done anything spectacular since the Contender Series fight, so I don't know why they've signed her, but, it is what it is. And also in the Asakura fight, like, Asakura pretty much did whatever she wanted on the mat with Oliveira, and she eventually found an armbar, which I was talking about before, is Tabatha Ricci's favourite move. So yeah, I think she's going to eventually get that, probably get the arm, probably take it home with her. So yeah, I got Ricci. We'll have a look at the betting lines. Alright, so if you guys could like the video, that'd be awesome. Really helps out the channel, helps me out a lot. It's really appreciated. Also, comment your predictions in this fight just below. I want to see what you guys think. If you have any questions about the breakdown, post it and I'll answer it pretty quickly. I've downloaded the YouTube Studio app now, so I should be able to, reply to comments a bit quicker if it's on my phone instead of just, going on my laptop and, checking YouTube every few days. But, I should be a bit more, active on YouTube now. So, prediction is Tabatha Ricci by submission. I'm gonna say armbar just to get cute with it. But yeah, I do think she wins quite easily. I think the money line is correct actually. I don't know if you guys can see that notification that popped up on my screen. But yeah, blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. So bets I'm looking at, I think the money line is correct, so I don't think it's too much value on it at the moment. If she got to like $1.55 or minus 190 or whatever that is in the money line terms, then I'll have a look at that. She's pretty heavy favorite and she's very green, so it could look like a terrible bet, but I feel like Maria Oliveira is just that bad. I'm looking at inside the distance more, preferably, is what I'd bet. Tabatha Ricci submission, I'm hoping for like $6 or plus 500. Tabatha Ricci inside the distance if she just goes for a club and, just decides to club her out. If I can get that at like $4 or plus 300, then I'd seriously consider, putting a unit or two on that. I think she does find a submission eventually. So Randa Markos has only won 35% of her fights in the UFC, and I think she's had like 15. So, not a great record that she has. She's on a 4-fight losing streak here. I think she definitely needs to get a win, or she's being cut. 36 years old. Yeah, I'd probably say for certain she is getting cut here if she does lose. I did like her aggression that she showed in her last fight. Usually doesn't fight with that kind of aggression. But I feel like that aggression, if she comes in with that again, I feel like that's going to walk her onto the takedowns of Souza. It's going to, it's going to force her into the clinch. It's going to force a lot of clinch exchanges where I believe she's going to lose those clinch exchanges. So, yeah. She just has very bad takedown defense, does Randa Markos. And I think even Souza's pretty, below average takedowns. I think it'll probably get the job done here, honestly. I think Randa's going to charge forward into the clinch where, most of Souza's successful takedowns do occur. I think Markos could turn it up late to, you know, maybe bank the third round, but also maybe make it a competitive second. But I do think Souza is going to bank the first 2 rounds to get the dub here, get the decision win here. She could either, you know, get enough top control in the first 2 rounds to win, also find a sub potentially. You know, I'm not confident. Randa's takedown defense in the clinch is very worrying. I'm not confident really in this one. You know, both decide to randomly not show up in certain fights, so yeah, it's hard to trust these guys, really. Might have a look at playing Markos depending on the price. I mean, she's only lost to solid fighters, like much better fighters than Livinha. All those fighters would beat Livinha, so, you know, I think she has a shot here, but she's going to play directly into Livinha's game, I feel. Alright, so just before I get into my prediction, so yeah, if you guys could like the video, like the channel, comment your predictions. I want to see what you guys say. If you have any questions about the breakdown and stuff, if I didn't explain anything sufficiently, then just post a comment. I'll reply to it as quick as possible and give you a bit more of a detailed explanation. So yeah, like, prediction is Souza for me in this one by decision. I think the line's basically correct. Probably she could even be a bit more of a favourite. She looks to be creeping up to evens. If she gets to evens, I'll probably look to bet her. But yeah, Randa, I was kind of looking for a better price on Randa at like $2.60 or something like that. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't bet Markos at that price. Surprise doesn't go, well, surprise goes the distance is, you know, not like minus 300 or anything like that. I think it goes to decision quite frequently, but yeah, I haven't actually, this is the first time I've seen that price, so I might look into that in the future, and you know, in the next few days. But other than that, unless Souza gets 2 evens, I probably won't play this fight at all. So how I see the fight going, so we saw Molina at UFC 261, where he put up a great fight, showed some real nice hands, seems to have good cardio, good volume, takedown defense seems a little bit dodgy, but his get-ups seem pretty good. Trains with James Krause, so that's always, you always love to see that. In regards to his opponent, Daniel Lacerda, I only found like 1 fight of his and it was over in like 2 minutes, so obviously not enough footage to make an assumption or an accurate assumption on his game. He came out throwing a lot of spinning shit and a lot of other big actions, so potentially has a cardio problem, not a very energy efficient style. He's never seen a round 3, so I could definitely see cardio being a problem with his style, but I guess they are flyweights, and flyweights generally don't have, you don't see too many flyweights that are gas after 2 rounds, but, you know, always is a possibility. But yeah, a lot of assumptions need to be made if you're going to make a bet or a pick either side in this fight, because we don't really know too much about Lacerda unless someone else has some inside knowledge or a plug for Daniel Lacerda fights. Then yeah, probably gonna have to make a few assumptions here. Alright, so if you guys could like the video, that'd be awesome, helps out a lot. Alright, so prediction is Molina by decision, I think I said. But yeah, like, I'm not betting this fight because I know nothing about Lacerda, really. Like, there's very limited tape. He could come in and look totally different. I have basically no information on the guy, so yeah, I'm not looking to bet this fight at all. It's a stay away from me. A lot to play for in this one, obviously. Loser most likely losing their job within the organization, so you know these guys are going to normally try and leave it all out there. Well, like, I know Staropoli will, but I don't know about Pickett. I think Staropoli's going to take it to him on the feet, just kind of batter him from the opening bell with kicks, combinations. Either, I think it goes 2 ways, either he overwhelms Pickett with an onslaught of offense and Pickett just kind of covers up and waits for the ref to step in, or Pickett shoots for a desperation takedown, a desperation clinch attempt, but the technique isn't great, but potentially could get Staropoli down because he is going to be much bigger than Staropoli. But I don't expect him to do anything with the takedowns. You know, size advantage is the only thing going for Pickett here, but he doesn't seem overly strong, so it wouldn't surprise me if Staropoli even muscled him around in the clinch quite a bit. Just wouldn't surprise me at all, honestly. Pickett rarely throws more than 1 strike at a time, and since he's so focused on not getting hit, he generally falls behind on volume, so I think Staropoli is going to double or triple up on the volume of Pickett, and that's probably going to win him the fight if he doesn't get the finish early on or later on. Just if he doesn't get the finish, he has the volume to fall back on, whereas Pickett doesn't really. I think the UFC have given Staropoli a layup here, since they obviously like him. You know, he's lost 3 in a row. He's missed weight for one of those fights, but they're still keeping him around and not feeding him to like some huge prospect, which is what they usually do to guys that are on like a 3-fight losing streak. Instead, they're giving him a really easy dub against like this can-crushing flake in Jamie Pickett. So they obviously like him, but yeah. Let's have a look at the betting lines then. Alright, so if you guys could please like the video, that would be awesome. Really helps out a lot. Prediction is Staropoli by TKO. Yeah, I think the line is basically correct. You know, Pickett's going to have a pretty big size advantage, so I don't really want to play that money line on a guy like Staropoli, even though I do like his style, and I think he does win here quite easily, but it's just not the type of dude I want to pay minus 250 on. I'm more going to look at inside the distance, like Staropoli inside the distance. I think there's a very good chance that Pickett just kind of crumbles after Staropoli just kind of bum rushes him and like just, you know, overwhelms him with combinations. I feel like Pickett would just, you know, quit. So if I can get that at like $3.30 or plus 230, then I'll be betting that. You know, fight doesn't go the distance. I feel like that should be not plus money, but yeah, because, you know, Pickett can win. He's a big guy. He can land a huge shot or, you know, something like that. So I feel like that should be, you know, not plus money, but I'm going to wait for the Staropoli inside the distance line and see if that's, you know, preferable to this price here. So both these guys, they need a win. I think they're both on 2-fight, yeah, it's right in front of me actually, yeah, 2-fight losing streaks. Both are getting cut, likely if they do lose here. Both guys have shoddy chins, both guys have, you know, reasonable power to put each other out. And yeah, I love fights like these, like honestly, it's gonna have me on the edge of my seat. I love these type of fighters, like that have just zero margin for error. Fighters like Khama, like James Vick. Like I used to love watching James Vick fights, because it's just, he just has such a low margin for error. He can fight the perfect fight, and then at 14 minutes and 59 seconds, if he just eats one punch, it could be night-night. So I love these type of fighters. They just have the fight so perfectly, because their chins are just that bad. So yeah, all these variables that I mentioned, like shoddy chins, you know, both potentially losing their jobs if they lose, both guys having power, it could spell like a timid affair, but even so, I'm expecting someone to eventually get hit and someone's lights to go out. Just eventually. It's going to happen sooner or later. I think Choi Herbert is the better striker. Even though he's going to be the longer fighter, I think he's faster as well, you know, with his hand speed. I think he's a good striker, honestly, overall. He's just been thrown to the absolute wolves in his first 2 fights. Like, who was his first? Like, Trinaldo, right? And, I don't want to... Moicano, yeah. So, you know, 2 very good fighters, and he's just been thrown to the absolute wolves to start off his career. But yeah, I think his footwork should save him from the counters of Khama, because Khama's going to be, as we talked about before, very flat-footed, look for counters. And if Herbert can keep the front foot, keep Khama on the back foot, and then use his in and out movement, I think he should win quite easily. And I think he would also, you know, find the finish eventually. Khama, his chin is just bad, like, and he's a counter striker too, so he needs to have that, he needs to have very good timing, and with his chin, he needs to have very good timing, with his counters, or else, you know, and he needs to not get predictable as well. Like, it's seriously, like, it's defining him as a fighter at the moment, just his chin. It's really hard to look past it. It doesn't look like it can take any more punches, honestly. It looks done. But yeah, ultimately I think Herbert, he does find the target pretty early, and he does put Khama's lights out again. So yeah, let's have a look at the betting lines. Alright, so if you guys could like the video, that'd be awesome. Really helps out the channel a lot, trying to get this back on track. So yeah, if you could like it, it helps out a lot. So prediction is Jai Herbert by KO round one. I think the money line is basically correct. I think Herbert should be even a bit more of a favourite, but I'm not rushing to bet him at this price. Just with not sure where his headspace is at the moment. Came in with a bit of hype to the UFC, got dealt with pretty quickly. He's been a bit unfortunate with matchmaking and stuff like that. So I do think he has a bit of promise, but I just want to, just not a guy that I want to trust at this price, just at this point in his career. But I'm more looking at like the KO line or the inside the distance line. If I can get that at like plus 170 or plus $2.70. I mean, sorry, just $2.70. I'll probably even settle for $2.50 or plus 150 even. Just I think Khama's chin is that bad, and I think if Herbert connects, he's probably going to put him out. I think he is going to connect sooner or later. So yeah, that's probably the only action I'll have on this fight. Maybe if the Jai Herbert money line keeps creeping up, then I'll have a stab at that, but nothing too big on this fight. Alright, so, as you could have probably gathered already, I am not very high on either guy, but especially Negumereanu, I don't think he's very good. But the problem with guys like Negumereanu is that they just look so bad on tape, and they just look so beatable that you feel like you could beat them yourself, and that you just want to insta-fade them, just because they're just that bad. And you kind of get carried away, to the extent that you don't really even consider who the opponent is. Anyway, that's a problem I have. Personally, is I have that problem with certain fighters. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but there's like certain fighters that I just think are so bad that they probably shouldn't win any fights in the UFC. But they do. Like guys like Jonathan Pierce, I guess, is one example that comes to my head. I just think he's really exploitable, but he does have certain tendencies that do allow him to win fights, and I'm improving on that. I'm trying to work that habit out of my predictions, and out of my overall breakdowns of just kind of insta-fading guys. But yeah, guys like Negumereanu, not great, but yeah, they're not great to say the least. But they do have that dog in them, and that does win fights. I tend to like the more technical guy, and the more efficient guy. I do like when mixed martial arts is kind of a bit more nuanced, and like it's a bit more aesthetic and nicer to watch. I don't I love a good dogfight. I love when guys dig deep and go crazy, but if it's just ugly and you're kind of just gritting through things, it's good. Like, don't get me wrong, but it's just not my favorite thing to watch. I prefer watching clean technique and guys really outclass their opponents. That's personally what I like to watch more than a guy that just kind of bites down the mouthpiece and just kind of swings leather and not really too much structure behind it or thought behind it. But a lot of people do like watching that, like the underdog win and stuff like that. It's just I have a differing opinion to most people, I think, on that. But yeah, Ike, he's the cleaner striker. Both have very slow, inefficient mechanics on their punches. But Ike's is like slightly better, and he's also quicker to the punch. But as I've mentioned, as I've alluded to, like just before, like the cleaner, more technical striker, they don't always win, and they don't even always win the stand up. But ultimately, I think it just comes down to who takes the front foot and who is able to, retain that front foot advantage. I think whoever's on the front foot will just kind of dominate this fight. It's imperative for both guys in their fighting styles to have the front foot, and I think whoever takes it will be able to, kind of dominate the opponent. And I feel like it is going to be Nicolae, just because I sense there's a little bit of flakiness to Ike that there isn't necessarily to Nicolae. I think, Nicolae can take the front foot and just kind of run with it, because he's just more willing to bite down the mouthpiece, and he's more willing to take one to land one, and he's more comfortable in a dogfight from what I've seen. from both these guys. So I feel like, yeah, he's going to be able to take the front foot off Ike, and he's going to find a finish late just by kind of overwhelming Villanueva, but also Villanueva is just kind of very vulnerable to the body, to the legs. So I feel like he's going to be able to get a finish sooner or later against the brittle Villanueva. So we'll have a look at the betting lines. So if you guys could like the video, that'd be awesome. Thanks very much. Really helps out the channel a lot. Comment your predictions. I'm interested to see what you guys say. If you're taking the underdog, if you're taking Nicolae in a dog fight, let me know how it finishes. You know, all that kind of stuff. If you got any questions about the breakdown, post that below. I'll get back to it real quick. But yeah, sorry if I was meandering a bit in this one. Just kind of I went rogue a little bit off script. But yeah, so prediction is Negumereanu by TKO round 2 or 3. I think he finishes him late, as I mentioned before. I don't think he should be this much of a favourite though. Like, you know, this type of, you know, Negumereanu's, he shouldn't be this much of a favourite against anyone in the UFC, with all due respect. But yeah, I think, you know, the value's on Ike at the moment. I will bet him probably at this price. It seems like the money line is going to get closer and closer to fight night. You know, closer, yeah, it's going to come closer as, you know, we creep towards fight night. But I feel like, yeah, the value is on Ike at the moment. Definitely going to be betting Negumereanu at that price. I was kind of hoping for inside the distance to be a little bit, you know, more favourable than it is at the moment, because I was kind of hoping for like $1.47 or two. Minus 215 for the inside distance, because I think it is going to be a war. I don't think Negumereanu is a reliable enough finisher for me to pay that much juice on the fight ends inside the distance. Like, he has 6 wins by a TKO in his career, but he doesn't seem like he has that much power to me. Like, he doesn't seem like he has that much concussive power. You know, he's probably not going to blast Villanueva out of there. Villanueva could probably see the finishing bell if he, you know, doesn't like just turtle up, or, you know, just kind of let himself be finished. So that's the problem I have with the end inside the distance, that I don't want to pay too much juice on it. Kind of hoping for the under 2.5 to be like $1.70 or minus 140, but I'm definitely not getting that price just looking at the doesn't go the distance line at the moment. So like, I just noticed that Caceres is on a 4-fight win streak, but, like, fuck me, it's probably the worst, like, it's probably the softest 4-fight string of competition that I've ever seen. Like, jeez, just a bunch of, like, total jobbers, basically, no disrespect, but, yeah. Also, like, when you look down at his resume, like, he's just faced total jobbers his whole career, basically, and if he isn't facing a total jobber, he loses pretty much. And you know, maybe the one win that has aged a little bit, you know, gracefully is Sergio Pettis. And at the time, I think, well, you know, what was the size disadvantage there? Like, he would have to have a massive size edge there in that fight. Sergio Pettis is pretty small. But yeah, other than that, his victories are just against total cans. Like, who are these dudes? Like, Ronaldo, Lahormi, Kung. That's fair enough. Split decision for a no contest. Okay, something happened there. Tezuka, Page, Fullen, Cole Miller's decent win, not really, but kinda. Ronaldo D, Martin Bravo got cut. Steven Peterson pretty much cut if he wasn't facing a guy like Chase Hooper on his last contract fight. And then Chase Hooper, total, you know, not very good. Bit of a jobber. Springer, bit of a jobber. Kroom, total jobber. So yeah, you know, what's his name? Caceres is going to land a few good shots for sure, because Choi's striking defense isn't great. But he's just a far inferior striker here, and I think he's going to get pieced up a little bit on the feet. You know, Caceres, he looks like Anderson Silva, and he looks really slick with the slide back check hooks and the hands low, and, you know, the uppercuts and stuff like that. When he's facing guys like Kevin Kroon or Springer, you know, but Choi is going to get the read of that pretty quickly. Caceres, he just gets very predictable with certain strikes and certain attacks, and I think Choi is going to get the read of it and, you know, punish him for that. I think the fight being in the apex definitely does favour Choi, considering the two type of styles that these guys like to employ in fights. Alright, where are we? So, if you guys could like the video, that'd be awesome. Thanks very much, helps out the channel a lot. So prediction is Seung Choi by decision. Oh, God damn it, one sec. There we go, got the money lines in there. So, you know, comment your predictions, see what you say. If you have any questions about the breakdown, you know, post a comment, I'll reply to it pretty quickly. I've got the YouTube app now, so I should be able to reply a lot quicker, since it's just on my phone instead of, you know, logging into YouTube every time I go on my computer. Yeah, I'll be much more active, you know, with the comments and stuff. So, but yeah, comment your predictions, comment, you know, what you think is going to happen in the fight. I do think Choi wins. I think he wins by decision. I think the line is a little bit too wide. You know, it's pretty hard to cover this type of money line against Caceres without like a big grappling advantage. His awkward style, it might freeze up Choi, just because, you know, Choi's going to have to make a lot of reads. He'll get him eventually, but like at the start it might freeze Choi up a little bit, and it might be quite low volume and quite, you know, competitive kinda. Caceres is pretty good at, you know, making the fights pretty low volume, pretty you know, go technique for technique, so that's kind of what I'm scared about. So I don't really want to lay that type of juice on Choi in this fight against Caceres, because he is, you know, quite an annoying opponent. I'll probably bet Caceres at this price, at like, you know, plus 240, but yeah, not like huge though, just more of a value bet. So Glenn didn't really give us too much in his return to the Octagon, and that was after like 4 years off or something like that. So yeah, the fight, you know, his last fight against Joaquim Silva, can't really take too much away from it, really, because he just caught the guy, he caught him cold. Not too much you could take from it. I don't think it's going to be some huge power puncher at 155. I just think Joaquim's chin is a bit sus, and he caught him cold. On the feet, Glenn is the better striker. He's no Anderson Silva, but he's definitely much better than Grant Dawson in the stand-up. He's also much more durable, and like, which is rare, but he'll be able to match the pace of Grant Dawson, which is a rarity for Grant Dawson, I believe. Also, Rick Glenn, he did beat Dennis Bermudez. You know, controversial whether he won or not, but I actually bet him in that fight, but I still didn't think he won the fight, but he was like $4 or something, same as here. But he beat Dennis Bermudez, who I think is a much better wrestler and a much better striker than Grant Dawson. Even though Grant Dawson, his wins don't necessarily come from like skills and, you know, being super high level. It's more of the pace, and it's more of the grit that he has. So, you know, I'm pretty meh on him skill wise, but he can push a pace. He is very, you know, he's pushes a solid pace, and I'm just not super high on him like skills wise. I think he's gonna have trouble like working his way up the ranks. I don't think he's like the next big thing or anything like that. Because I just haven't really been impressed with any of these performances. Like Rosa wasn't great. Trezano was dealing with him in the stand-up, and Minna, he was in trouble early in that fight, and then Minna gassed as he always does. And Nadno Money, that was not an inspiring performance. And then Leonardo Santos, I had him down 2 rounds to 0. No, I didn't actually. I had him 1 round. I had it 1 round apiece, and I thought he was going to win a 29-28. Which is not really that impressive against Leonardo Santos, who has 1 round of cardio, and then he won round 1, which is what I was expecting from Leonardo. I was expecting him to be much better skills wise, and then basically Leonardo just ran out of gas, and then Grant Dawson took over, but he didn't really take over. He just kind of, it just wasn't an impressive performance. I'm not impressed too much by his performances, honestly. So anyway, like, Glenn's takedown defense is shoddy enough that Grant Dawson will probably just like 30-27 him here, but, you know, with the volume takedowns, he's probably just going to 30-27 him, but I don't think it's going to be easy. I think Glenn's just going to be a handful for like 15 minutes, just being annoying, and like it's going to be like you know, it's going to be semi-competitive. I think he's going to be very active off bottom. He's going to be throwing volume on the feet. I think he's going to be, you know, giving Grant a fair amount of problems and a lot to think about, honestly. And I don't think it's going to be an easy night for Grant Dawson, such as the line indicates. But yeah, we'll have a look at the betting lines. Alright, so if you guys could like the video, that would be awesome. Really helps out with the channel. You know, I've been a bit lackluster lately, but I'm going to, you know, go back to normal after this, well, this card now. So back to normal now. And yeah, so it really helps out the channel. I think I've lost a lot of the algorithm favoritism, I guess you want to call it, because I've just been not posting for a long time. So I've lost all that momentum I built. So I'm looking to get that back and then, you know, get back into the good graces of the algorithm, and I can, you know, work from there. So prediction is Grant Dawson by decision. What's Grant Dawson by decision? I mean, that's what I'll play. Glenn's durable. He's pretty hard to submit. But yeah, it's definitely what I play preferably over the money line. I think Glenn is what I'd bet at the moment. I think $4 a little bit wide, honestly. It's a little bit too wide. Yeah, I think he's just going to be annoying for 15 minutes, and I think he's probably going to put up an honest fight, and he's not going to just like quit or anything. So I think it's going to be a Grant Dawson 30-27, but I want to bet the money line of Glenn and then maybe Dawson decision. I think it's going to be quite a low volume affair. Lots of feints, lots of half-hearted attempts at strikes, and, you know, kind of a little bit timid affair. But yeah, I think Trinaldo will be on the front foot, and one thing I can say for certain is that Trinaldo, he knows much better than Grant how to win decisions in an MMA fight. I think Grant's been pretty lucky with decisions, honestly. You know, how he fights is not going to win you many decisions, and I'm surprised he's won him so many this far in his career. But yeah, I favour Trinaldo quite heavily if it does make it to the cards. Trinaldo is definitely undersized. He's certainly a tweener. You know, 162.5 pound division would be more beneficial for him than going up to 170 for sure. He's nearly always going to be the smaller guy at 170, but, you know, still incredibly, he hasn't never been finished by strikes in his career. And he's had, 34 fights. He's 43 years old. He's never been finished by TKO, so it's quite impressive. And that's basically how Grant wins for the most part. I think he's been quite lucky with the decisions he's been getting, and usually his type of style is going to rely on a knockout. Although I must say, this is the hardest hitter that Trinaldo has faced in his career. Like, Grant has huge power, and Trinaldo is 43 years old for sure, so his chin could just go any day now. But honestly, you know, Grant's chin concerns me a little bit more. He doesn't seem like he has a great chin, and Trinaldo, he does have that old man power. Like, we saw it against Salikov. He hurt Salikov, and he hurt Dwight Grant. I mean, what's his name? Choi Herbert pretty badly. So he does have that old man power, and I am expecting a striking match. And I think there's a decent chance that Grant does catch Trinaldo as he's coming in, because, you know, Trinaldo has to close a lot of distance to get to Grant, and Grant's actually quite good at striking on the back foot and landing big power shots on the back foot. We saw that against D-Rod. A good example is against D-Rod, the first knockdown in that fight. But I feel like if he doesn't land that kill shot, Trinaldo is just going to continue to walk him down and just gather reads as the fight goes on, and Grant's going to be missing more and more. Like, Grant, he doesn't make too many reads as the fight goes on, and he has trouble with guys with, like, good, well, sound striking defense. Not even good, but just sound striking defense. Like Sekulic, his striking defense was basically just taking a step or two back to avoid the punches of Grant, and Grant just didn't really have an answer for it after that. Like, it was just like a huge problem for Grant that he was just taking a step or two back. Like Dwight, he doesn't mix it up a whole lot. He's going to be throwing the same combinations. He never really extends his combinations past 2 at that. So as the fight goes long, I expect Trinaldo to be avoiding the power shots a little bit easier, and in turn just having more and more success with his counters and his counter 2 as he gets the read of Grant's striking patterns. So I think Trinaldo is going to take over late, and I think he does win a decision here. So yeah, let's have a look at the betting lines. So if you guys could like the video, that would be awesome, really helps out a lot. you know, trying to get this channel back on track now. So yeah, let's get those likes up, and yeah, let's get the algorithm back pumping again. Alright, so prediction is Trinaldo by decision. I think at a pick'em, well, I don't know if there's still a pick'em line somewhere, but I thought the line was a little bit disrespectful, and I did bet him at a pick'em, Trinaldo. I think the line right now is still a little bit of value on Trinaldo, but not as much as there was at a pick'em. I mean, I thought the line was a little bit disrespectful when it was evens. Just like, look at Trinaldo's resume. Like, even his losses, he's been supremely competitive. And then you look at Dwight Grant's resume, he's gone split decisions with Zach Otto and who else? Who did he even beat just then? Sekulic, like, just. And, like, yeah, the dude's 43. Trinaldo is 43, but, like, some people are just, like, built different. And 43 is literally just a number when it comes to Trinaldo. Like, he hasn't regressed a whole lot as a fighter, and he still looks quite durable, honestly. If Dwight KOs him, then fine. Like, that's fair enough. He does have huge power, but I feel like that's his path to victory. I don't think he's going to sneak a split decision over Trinaldo. I think Trinaldo's going to kind of come in with a veteran performance, and just kind of out finesse him to win the decision. So yeah, what are we looking at? I think Trinaldo inside the distance is quite nice. I think he does finish Dwight Grant a good chunk of the time, but I feel like, yeah, I'll just say decision because that's generally how he wins, but Dwight's chin is a little bit suspect, but yeah, the money line's probably good enough for me, honestly. Honestly, this is the most intriguing fight in the card for me. Probably aside for the main event, actually. Paulo Costa versus Vettori, I think that's a little bit more intriguing. Just the headspace where both those guys are at, but both these guys are very good fighters, and they're both very well-rounded mixed martial artists, and I think both of them would not look out of place in the top 15. I think they would hold their own against top 15 opponents, honestly. And I just have no idea why it's on the prelims when Villanueva and Negumereanu is on the main card. So yeah, anyway, it is what it is. On the feet, I think it's going to be fairly competitive. Rodrigues, he's going to be on the front foot. He's going to be landing some, big shots. He's going to be landing some good shots. But I think Park will be landing more and ultimately just landing the cleaner shots. And I think he does take it on the feet with the volume as well. But also, I think he's just a cleaner striker. I think the clinch part of this fight, if they do clinch up, I think it's going to be dominated by Rodrigues. I think he's going to be much stronger than Park, and I think he's going to be able to control Park fairly easily in the clinch. And he's going to be able to, get off some good knees. He's going to damage Park in the clinch, I think. The biggest disparity between these two, though, I think is in the grappling and in the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I think Gregory Rodrigues is a very good grappler, and I think he's going to be able to take Park down. He's going to be able to control him on the mat. Also, if Park does try to get back to his feet, he has a concerning tendency to give his back up every time. So I think Rodrigues is going to be able to take advantage of that and, probably submit him potentially as the fight does go on, or just take the back and find that rear naked choke sooner or later. If he doesn't find that rear naked choke, he's going to be able to get the wrestling ride basically every time. So he's going to be able to control him from, that position as well. And I think the world of Park too. Like, I think he's a very solid fighter, and I think he's a tough task for anybody in the division. I do like him as a fighter, and he's fun to watch. He's very efficient. He's very economical, and he's very good. He's a good fighter. But Rodrigues is just a beast, man. Like, he's very well rounded, and he's a beast grappler, and he's also got a lot of power too on the feet. So yeah, let's have a look at the betting lines. So if you guys could like the video, that'd be awesome. Really helps out the channel. I've been falling behind on the algorithm. I'm been getting like 1K view a month. I used to get probably what did I used to get? I used to get 30K, 50K a month. So I'm looking to get back to that and get some money back because I've just been slacking lately. So I'm looking to get back on track, and yeah, if you guys could help just by liking the video and just promoting it a little bit, just by liking it, that's all you have to do really. Really helps out the channel a lot. Helps me a lot. Hopefully get some cash from this shit, But yeah, prediction is Gregory Rodrigues by submission. I think round 2 I said. It doesn't really matter what round. It's just more the tendencies that I've gathered that I think he'll get subbed. I think Park will get subbed. When people say the round, it's more just like the cherry on top. Like, I have no idea what round it's going to be. It's just more the tendency I've picked up on. So yeah, I'll say a round just to be super specific, but you know, it is what it is. I've gone on a stupid tangent of this, but anyway. So I'm probably going to be betting Rodrigues. Oh, he's the favorite now at some book at Bet Online. Yeah, I like him as the underdog for sure. Probably going to be betting him. Both of them are very durable, so I think the goes the distance line is correct. Where's Rodrigues by submission? Oh, that's not what I wanted really. No, it's not. Submission round 2. Where's that? Yeah, no. But yeah, I think the money line is okay enough for me. That's what I'm going to be betting. So Costa's performance against Adesanya was just totally mind-boggling. Like, I don't think he threw his moneymaker right hand once. Like, I haven't rewatched. Well, I rewatched the fight, but I wasn't like counting. But like, it didn't look like he threw it once. Also, he just wasn't pressuring at all. Like, he just stood in front of him and got his leg chopped up. It was just a super strange performance. Anyway, on the feet, I think Costa does take Vettori to school. Especially if he comes in with a forward pressure and he starts pressuring heavy, like the old Paulo Costa, not the one that was fighting Adesanya. And I think he puts a pretty bad beating on Vettori on the feet. But, you know, if Marvin survives the first 2 rounds, and those rounds are at a high pace, not just like like an Aspen Ladd, Norma Dumont pace, then I believe he will be able to make the striking like semi-competitive in the later rounds, but more importantly, I think he'll be able to get takedowns easier and easier. Ultimately, you know, it's kind of the reason I got to pick Vettori. It's just because of the grappling edge, the cardio edge, durability edge, you know. Like, think of how many times, like, recently, that combination of attributes, there's just one recently. It's basically the reason I lose half my picks, because... like, if you just blindly picked fighters who had the cardio, the durability, and the grappling edge over their opponent, you'd probably have a really solid edge. Like, without... If you just had, like, those, those things on paper, and you didn't watch any tape or anything like that, you'd probably have a really solid record, honestly. Like, I tend to get carried away with technique and what I see on tape and stuff like that, and who's the cleanest striker, and, you know, I like watching... I like watching finesse, and I like watching the guy that's more technical, the girl's more technical, and just like skills and stuff, and not just someone who just relies on their chin and their durability and all that kind of stuff, or just like that's how they win fights, you know. And that's kind of what I feel like how Vettori's going to win here. You know, I don't think he's a better fighter per se than Paulo Costa. I think he's going to be taking a fair bit of damage early. But yeah, like that's what I'm trying to work out of my tipping and stuff, because I tend to get carried away with, you know, little things on tape and who's the cleanest striker and all that kind of stuff. But when in reality, like, having a good chin and just coming forward and getting into the clinch and getting takedowns and stuff, it's not what I like to watch, but it's a huge part of the game at the moment, and especially with these fights in the Apex where there's no crowd and, you know, people aren't booing the clinch as much and people aren't booing takedowns as much and stuff like that. It's become a huge part of, it's kind of drifting into that kind of environment where guys are just spending a lot more time in the clinch, and they're just, going the grappling route a lot more, just because, you know, the fans aren't there to boo it and stuff like that. And, you know, they don't really have to impress the fans in person. So, you know, they're coming in with, you know, a bit more grappling-centric game plans and stuff like that. So, you know, I don't necessarily like the way the fights of the Apex and where they're heading at the moment, because just they're trending into very boring territory. Just when you think about all the fight nights of the Apex, like, there hasn't been too many wars, and then when we get to the pay-per-views, just every fight is a war. Every time we get in front of fans, just every fight is just fun to watch. There's ups and downs. There's, you know, it's much more fun to watch, in my opinion, and that's just what I've noticed from comparing the pay-per-views to the Apex fights. But yeah, so anyway, you know, cardio advantage, durability advantage, blah blah blah, grappling advantage, or whatever I said. It's pretty hard to bet against or pick against, so I'll pick Vettori, I guess. Let's have a look at the betting lines. Alright, so if you guys could like the video, that'd be awesome. Really helps out with the channel, you know, get back on track with this algorithm, try and I want to try and push the channel a little bit more. I've definitely fucked the algorithm up really badly. I've been getting like 40 subs a month. I used to be getting like 400. So yeah, I'm going to get back on track, and we can hopefully get back in the good graces of the algorithm and get the channel pushed again. So my prediction is Vettori by decision. I think it's submission actually. So Vettori by submission around 4, I'll say. I think it's later on in the fight. I was pretty happy to play Vettori at like evens, but not this price. Paulo Costa, if he gets to $2.50, I'll play him, but probably looking to stay away from this fight, honestly.